All right.
Yeah, I mean,
When you hear Creed.
I was playing Creed in case so it would just you would just hear it.
All right, we got it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera off then because it's just me. Sorry about that.
They're all here and present. Um,
Blame the girls' basketball team.
All right.
Congratulations to your daughter,
Thanks.
Yeah. Um, yeah, she had a great game. The one that I didn't get to go on Saturday. I was at a wrestling tournament, but the Thursday night game, yeah, she tore it up.
Yeah, Thursday was good. Saturday was but it was a good actually that was one of my favorite games I've seen them play.
Great. All right. So first up is proposal to delete.
it wasn't deleted before because we do have. Um,
All right.
does anybody have any, or want to like bring up any comments or anything on things?
I think we might have an uproar if we ban pagers.
Yeah, I know they used to be popular with Hezbollah, but I don't know if they're as popular anymore.
And just to clarify, this would be something that yes, outside of us. And there is another policy referenced in here, and I wondered if that actually there's a couple of them. It's on two, um, page three, like the third full paragraph. So there's also a word. Um, so I didn't know if we to address those because if we're gonna adopt this one, we probably have to look at the other two as well. Or what we could do is revise this to reference the current policies. So for example, policy that needs to be okay. Current non-discrimination. Okay. Does it that we can make sure that's not okay. Reference in the other one. Okay. Yeah. How do you go with that?
All right, let's do that then.
Um,
Hmm.
so students, so we're looking at adopting option B, right? Students may use PCAs after school during their lunch break, between classes. Otherwise, interfere with the educational environment. Which I think is one of the.
It is, yeah. Now, Evers has a new bill on his desk that I believe would eliminate the during lunch break and in between classes.
Yeah.
But whether they signs that or not, I
Right.
don't know. So this is reflective of what our
Yeah.
and in compliance with current law.
Right. Related. We want it. outside of school. Or
It's outside school hours, but what I like, it says as, except those approved by a teacher or administrator at any time is prohibited, must be parked completely out. So for example, football teams riding on the bus up to a game, the coach could, allow them to have their phone or say, hey guys, power them off, put them away. Or any event, solo ensemble, whatever.
okay.
I don't think we need to get into the weeds on this one, but something that I thought which would be interesting is a student attending a game consider attendance at a school related activity? If so, does it, I mean, I wouldn't suggest anybody try to restrict phone use during a game or an event like that, but I think there's also First Amendment rights when it's a public activity like that. So I would say when they're attending those type of events, they're attending as me. Let's see if they misbehave, they can be consequenced. So I just think it's an interesting legal.
Well, there's a
Right. All right.
as well as to contact EASD. I left that in there. There was a- Where does it say that? Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't try to police that during the times they can have their phone,
Right.
who they're contacting.
I would say maybe add.
Non-approved.
Or
So
approved.
we'll see like say they come down and sick, they go to the nurse's office and it's during that class hour, then they would want the student to use a school phone. That's more so that the school's aware they're kind, so mom doesn't just show up, hey, Johnny's sick.
Right.
And we didn't even know, which probably happens all the time. Right. My kids will do that. They'll text me like, I have a really bad headache. Can you pick me up? And go down to the nurse's office.
But we list the approved other options. Oh, sorry, I was.
No, the school phone's not their phone. Yeah.
Um,
I think we just leave it in there and I don't think we need to, we already have it spelled out when they
right.
can use their cell phones. And I don't want to try to get into policing
Yeah,
that. Oh, it was past the time. You shouldn't have, if second, we try to tell them not to contact parents.
Right.
It's different if they're doing it during an unapproved time. I would say, no, they can go down to the office and get
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. We have to.
That's the current one. but that may change again.
Anything that you.
It's a separate policy related to staff to student communication. Yeah. We have in our handbook, but I think we'll need to have, and Neola will put in a specific one, but we'll need more specifics in ours because we addressed a staff member that wasn't communicating in the fashion that we deem appropriate. And so I think the language could have more specificity in it. Yeah. So the statute will outline that and then we can, Neola will have that policy. That one, well, our cell phone, I felt we were in compliance. It's fine. We met what that threshold is, but the grooming one needs more detail.
All
All right.
right.
See, and this section will probably get updated.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a reference to it. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where this teacher, which we did address it with her. The student reached out to her on a social media platform and they were communicating that way. And then, yeah, she did some text messages, which is, Mhm, mhm. Oh, Mhm. Well, this one does, I mean, the policy does say, except for appropriate academic, extracurricular, and or professional uses consistent with our technology. Should be WhatsApp, I don't think would be that wouldn't be there'd be no need for that. That's a direct individual. I don't think WhatsApp's not really considered a social media. No. Messaging, yeah. So, yeah, so any messaging should be in group messaging, like we have, a lot of coaches will use the band app or where it's team messaging, like practices are at this time and oh, the same way. And then set up the group chat. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
One was.
Hmm.
So. They were.
We've had discussions. I think what we'll do is we'll move like all staff, all programs and clubs into one method. Because right now, like I have Team Reach for the wrestling club, I have Team Snap for youth football. There's band for powerlifting. There's band for the high school football. So even as a parent, you're having to keep all these different applications. Um, the challenge is getting not necessarily getting everybody to agree, but okay, why do you guys use these different features? What's one that we can all just migrate to, do the subscription and use? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's hard to get it from, those companies aren't gonna release it as is. Yeah. Let's see, any
And or professional uses. I don't know. Why do they need these? Example, the classroom, we have this business class on their Instagram page.
yeah, we do. We use those platforms that have the school pages and so I don't want to shut those off or that component. Hmm. All the schools do, and then teams will have like the girls' basketball page. Yeah. I'm not concerned about utilization like that. It's individual, and
Right.
that statute will clarify too, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but that's why shall not engage students in social media or online, and then especially when you're talking from that personal page, and then I think the direct messaging or private messaging. Well, that's no different than, a student sending a message for homework. Or yeah, via email. That's a direct message.
That,
Hmm.
yeah.
In public record, right? Well, any of those would be a public record. They'd have to be subject to public record. All right. We want to look at what 750. Wait, have we done the seven? Okay. So that would be in line with, so we would address this further in the 750. I think this is also gonna have probably an update from Viola related to the grooming piece in that legislation. I would guess the 750. I mean, we can highlight this section here. I don't know. I'm good with this language, and I think that's from a sense of, from a practical sense and how it's utilized and so forth. Um, Appropriate academic, extracurricular, or professional uses. And then I think we can look at the 7,000. I mean, this has to be flagged in the sense that, it's not going to be finally approved until we see the 7,000s anyways. Revisit it at that time and see what the legislation is. We can flag this under review after the updates and when we look at the 7,000s.
You're okay with.
Mm.
What,
3216. I'm sorry. Oh, oh, sorry. Okay.
To see what Wisconsin's law was. What am I? No person is allowed. Unless they have a concealed carry within 1,000 feet of school property. We've got all our houses. Property, but it's within 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet is.
One football, 900 feet in the end zones. Yeah, but a yard's 3 feet. So it's like the length of the size of one football. Yeah.
So. I don't know. That or cities. We do like this.
What's interesting is, I don't know, does the statute speak to just, there you go, loaded firearms? Because this policy does allow for you to have in your vehicle on the premise an unloaded firearm, if we leave it as constituted. Yeah. Prohibition does not apply to unloaded firearms in a locked vehicle, locked firearms. You want me to pull up the Wisconsin statute? Okay. So this looks like the policy does, the state statute does allow you to, a person possessing gun is not loaded and is any encased in a locked firearm. Okay.
I did not know that.
Our school force isn't quite large enough, but I know my first principal job, they had, oh, I think a 300-acre school. It was very big donation I think they had received from somebody that wanted to probably have it enjoyed but not pay the property tax at some point. They had a big, nice like learning center on it, and it was pretty neat. But that was up in the North Woods.
Correct.
And with the neighbors going in back by St. Pat's, I think we're no. Okay. Whoops. Let me go back to yeah. I think any questions on this? Are we good? I mean, due to the state statute, I don't think it gives a whole lot of leeway. Yeah. I know there are states that do allow teachers to possess and carry firearms. I I don't know. I've seen them accidentally shoot themselves in the leg and stuff, and I just saw that three ICE officers accidentally shot themselves in the leg at training this week trying to holster their guns. It just, you have accidents that happen wherever they're.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen elementary kid when years ago when we had to do, call in law enforcement because to help contain the student, trying to go for the officer's gun when they're in that. Yeah,
Are you
Carrie. Yeah,
Carrie?
yes.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe a week.
You know how to call come up.
All right. So then we move on to 3220. Every guy was.
Mhm. My Zoom's still up.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
So were you okay?
Oh, Julie, you're cutting in and out real bad. Jason, do you have your like noise canceling on or something? I didn't even realize that I wasn't hearing her until just now. I heard you just fine, and then I just realized I couldn't hear anybody else.
I just want to make sure you're okay with the 2217.
Yeah, yeah, I was just reading through it on the state statute side of things. I think we have to, I mean, my personal opinions aside, we just follow the
Yeah,
statute.
great. Okay. So moving on to 3220, staff evaluation and educator effectiveness. I didn't see anything. That I had any issues with. You're okay with all of it, Taylor?
Oh, there we go, Julie. Now I hear you real good.
Okay.
I switched to
Oh,
my, just my computer mic before, so now we should be good. It's the
yeah,
snowball.
that was, holy moly, I didn't realize how bad it was. Okay, good.
All right. So ethics and conflict of interest.
Yeah, if nobody had anything on 3220, yeah, 3230 ethics and conflict of interest. I felt like there was a word that needed to be added there. That's a really long run-on sentence, the very first sentence. And it didn't make sense without the word and. So I added it, but I don't think I had any issues with this at all.
I'm good.
Is this the one that talks about the $200 value though? Okay, yes. And the options under F. There's an option, however, pursuant to federal rules, the school district has set standards for when an employee, officer, or agent may accept a gift of an unsolicited item of nominal value. For purposes of this section, nominal value means that the gift has a monetary value of $200 or less. Kyle and I were kind of talking before the meeting started that, you know, is $200 really nominal? And then in the drafting underneath, it does say that nominal value is frequently defined as anything of a value less than $25. However, local standards may differ. So I think we can set that number where we want it.
That's a good point.
So the thought behind this was if a teacher gets $100 gift from their student at Christmas, are they to decline that because it's $100? Or we kind of set the $200 limit, knowing some of our families, some of our schools may give a gift up to that. We don't want to put a teacher in a position to say, no, thank you. For context, we did set the administrative one at $25.
Okay.
No, but in all seriousness, so let's say like our Chinese visitors came, maybe that's only $25. I don't know, but. And I think the nominal value probably should be 200, not that
Okay,
I
okay.
care, but I don't know if it might be 25. I don't know how much it is, but
Was that given to you or given to the school district?
I would leave it here. I would claim, I guess, the district on that one.
Right,
Uh,
right.
But the Russians, when they gave the bottle of vodka, which I don't drink, they gave it to someone else. So I'm guessing that's not to the district. But I don't know how much vodka is in Russia.
Right.
When you can buy it at a street corner, it's not that much,
Right. I don't know.
but I mean. But think. When groups come and they present you something, are they
Mhm.
presenting you something or are they presenting the school district with something?
Fair point.
I would say in the case of the vodka, that would be a personal gift. Unless you're gonna like,
But you can't drink it.
correct, you can't.
You'd have to leave school grounds to drink it.
Right. I just think it ends up, I think it puts, especially at $25, that puts people in
Okay.
awkward positions. That's,
Okay,
That-
and I don't want staff to feel like they're having to reject the gifts. Yet I get, we don't want
so,
like
so
someone
staff
feeling like they're
does
gonna get
get,
preferential treatment.
parents
because-
do give large gifts directly
Do-
to staff
Especially
members.
maybe
Do
like
employees
more
have to
elementary
disclose?
level, because
Mhm.
it's one teacher.
They don't have to
sometimes.
disclose anything.
No, but in this policy,
And
'Cause I
that's
have
a
to be honest
federal
with you, I've
rule.
received gift cards in the amount of $25. And I just,
so they only have to disclose when it's a conflict of interest against the policy.
Mhm.
So they'd have to disclose if they got something above $200 as it's written right now,
Mhm.
if we weren't to change. it.
Well,
Or do we just have them reported if it's above a certain value? I think it's very rare to get that
Right.
gifts are given above that threshold, but I can see at an elementary level, family only has one or two kids and they're appreciative of, I mean, for some of the families, they're like, hey, this is a great school, we're not paying private school tuition.
yeah.
And they're very generous
Mhm.
in some ways. I'd love for them to make the donation like the Education Foundation or something
Right.
else like that. And maybe we can do a better job of communicating that.
Yeah.
Hey, parents wanting to give to your students or to your teachers, you know, our gifts limits X.
So
Anything
do-
above that would encourage
Are
donations.
the teachers then allowed to apply for funds then from the Educational Foundation?
Uh-huh.
They are,
Yep.
okay,
We have many grants and stuff, but I mean, we
Okay.
don't have a lot of money in there, but it does. Someday we hope to have it like the Scholarship Foundation, so then that money
Mhm.
is covering field trips and
Yeah.
special events. The goal would be to where all that's covered. Okay, so you want that changed from 200 or do we want?
no, I mean, I'm fine with it if you guys
Yeah.
feel like, I mean,
I haven't
you
seen
laid
a
out
gift
a-
given that large, but
We also don't know what,
right,
I would hope that if someone got a gift that large, they're not bragging about it to their friends and colleagues.
oh, they probably
I would hope not.
are.
yeah, otherwise, that was the only point of discussion that I felt like we needed to have on that. So I'm fine with leaving it at 200.
And are you okay with me increasing admin to 200?
Where's admin?
It would be a separate policy that we
Oh.
already went through, so we
Oh.
want those to be consistent. Yes.
Probably, right?
That'd
You
that'd be,
okay?
that'd be kind of wild to have a $200 gift to admin. I could see a teacher, but
I don't think I've ever gotten one.
$200 to a teacher would be shocking to me.
Yeah.
It would be shocking to me as well.
And that's why I was asking about entertainment. Now we're talking about entertainment, especially
Right.
sporting events and things like that.
Yeah.
Those tickets are not cheap unless, you know.
No, that's more common, like you get offered all the time from the insurance group or this or
Right.
that. Hey, we've got tickets at such and such.
Right.
although- Is that legal?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Um,
is.
Well, I don't know about from a school standpoint, I don't know. I mean, we as a company, we have vendors that give us tickets to stuff all the time.
So if allegedly someone offered me tickets to a Brewers game because allegedly we used their cap and gown service.
Yeah. Could
A
you
lot of
allegedly,
allegedlys.
hypothetically, yeah.
Hypothetically.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, yeah. No,
Yes,
to be honest with
yeah.
you, I can't remember his name, Doug Smith.
Mhm.
Doug Smith with Jostens.
Mm.
Yeah,
Every summer,
Jostens does all the time, yeah. Mhm.
all administrators were packed in one part of County Stadium and, but then,
Yeah, so, yes, and they do, that's why I know it's legal, because those groups do offer and they, share or encourage, now whether it's ethical or
okay, I'm gonna
not,
throw
I
another
think
one
that's a
at you.
different one. So I've never gone to one myself from any of our vendors, but a neighboring district hypothetically may have had tickets. And I figured, well, there's no conflict there because I don't use you. I'm not going to use you anyway, so I'll go, may have hypothetically gone to the vendor, but I don't feel comfortable like with a vendor in my public role from that standpoint, so I wouldn't. I
But
don't
here
know.
was, here was an issue that did go to the state, and that was trips abroad.
Oh,
If
Oh,
if a teacher would get 6 students, 8 students, you got your trip free.
mhm.
mm.
And that was taken by a parent that ended up being a Green Bay Packer, a former Green Bay Packer, didn't think that was right to, to give them that. And so we had to work on, when I was still doing that. I mean, at the end there, I was doing all mine privately, so I didn't have to go through an organization, but we had to work out where
There's
the
still.
company would pay the school and the school would pay me.
Oh, yeah, and it's still set up that way, so that's a good point, Kyle, that's perfectly legal still and not I don't know, see, that wouldn't even fit within,
It's F, go to F.
because EF tours, for example, and our teachers, when they bring those, that's for every 10 student, they get a chaperone or whatever, which we require, otherwise you wouldn't have those trips if you had to
Exactly.
make them pay their
You're
own
not gonna
ways.
get a teacher to pay to take
No.
students.
Yeah,
So this one says professional employees, officers and agents may not solicit or accept gratuities, favors, or anything of monetary value from contractors or parties to subcontracts. However, can accept a gift of nominal value.
$200 or less, which would be a Brewers game or whatever, yeah. All right, but that would be different, so that's not EF tours, or that's not them going on that trip.
Well, it says that they should not engage if there's any any derived profit.
Yeah, so they're not getting paid directly, basically what they're getting is, if, we have X number of students, then your way on the trip is paid. And we don't pay the teachers supplemental pay or anything, they're basically volunteering their time to go and supervise, so it's kind of a good deal from that standpoint, because we're not paying them.
Yeah, I guess I don't. I don't view that as a gift because I can guarantee you they're building in the cost of that teacher's trip into the students.
They are, yeah.
um,
Yeah, they're paying for it.
So. I don't know. All right, well, if there's nothing else, then we can move on. 3231, outside activities of professional staff. And it looks like we crossed out F is that because of First Amendment, or I'm surprised I'm just wondering, why we struck F.
I don't know, I would,
I'm trying to remember.
was that Tim's recommendation?
The only question I had on this was, not that I have any problem with it, I just would like some examples. Give me
Sure.
some everyday examples on this. Because I was,
Yeah.
when you say outside activities,
Right.
And what would we say is expression? Is it perhaps, is it speaking? Is it holding a sign that might? Yeah, I think we need to define this a little better.
I don't know if you want to define it too tightly, because I
Right.
think the refrain from expressions that would disrupt harmony amongst their coworkers or interfere with the maintenance of discipline. It's basically, you shouldn't do something that's going to cause a significant disruption of the school.
Yeah, I
I
guess,
know that is in the eye of the beholder, and that's going to vary from community to community, but
Right.
it's.
E is addressing community, F is focusing more on coworkers.
right.
Well, I
Interfering.
mean, I have a, and I don't need to belabor this or even that it's a big deal, but I mean, coordinated discipline of school officials. I mean, we had something recently where somebody was expressing themselves. First Amendment right, I'm all for it. But if they were expressing themselves, disrupting the harmony, you know,
Yeah,
and I also I don't want to make this a big deal, but somebody did express themselves in a way that caused a disruption in harmony within other coworkers who called me upset about their behavior.
so there was a
So,
teacher in Canada, to make a point, purposefully, the tech ed teacher who purposefully cross-dressed on a regular basis to make a point, and it caused quite the disruption and disharmony in
right.
this
Yeah,
and
right.
so forth, and they didn't have a lot they could do because he, was expressing himself in a way that was
Right.
um so
This one seems to be a little bit of a slippery slope. I don't
you're
know.
saying you would strike it or you would leave it? I like it, not so much from just because if this allows, if refrain from if I've got someone who's, they're just an energy drain or a cancer amongst the team, it allows me as administrator to have that conversation with them and go back and cite board policy that, look, the way you're behaving, the way you're acting, it's really being a drain on the environment, and or you're triggering kids, which is, difficult to maintain the discipline of the school.
And does this interfere? I mean, I would love this. Personally, I would absolutely love this, but I'm conflicted with does that interfere with their First Amendment at all? I don't know. I'm torn a little bit.
Yeah, but there's a lot of us in many aspects, we check our First Amendment at the door when we walk into the school building, the school setting.
Okay.
Once, you're outside, some of the others, I mean, you could say, but it's still, if what we do rises to that disruption and disrupts our ability to perform our job duties, that creates a challenge. I think what was interesting is, remember when the Cindy Reberg incident took place, and all over the country, school districts were terminating teachers who had actually made those type comments. I was on I don't know, one of the news stations with, immediately following my interview. Oh, it was one of the radio, but they were doing a podcast. They had the founder of Will was coming on to discuss the similar topic. And he very much took the stance that districts taking job actions against teachers making comments about Charlie Kirk were violating those teachers' rights and that they would lead to wrongful terminations.
Hmm.
And I thought it was interesting. I had asked him the question, but if it's has the calculus changed? Because now a district could state that, look, we can anticipate a teacher making comments like that online is going to rise to a serious disruption within the school environment. And I thought that he would agree with me that yes, because of all the phone calls we received, the hate type things and stuff. His impression was nope, that still would be difficult to say that rose to a disruption significant enough, especially depending on what the local community disruption that you could reassign that person to something else. But so he took more of that libertarian type perspective at him in that First Amendment piece, but I don't know. We saw districts all over taking job actions along those lines. And I just
Yeah.
use that example because it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. At some point on both sides, this could be applicable.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
And
I mean,
I think
that's where I'm torn.
but we've kind of maintained that, hey, check that stuff at the door because we need you as an educator to serve all students. And
Mhm.
not do something that or you should have a reasonable expectation that it's going to cause a disruption to that learning environment.
So this is actually a really interesting discussion too. And I really don't want to belabor this, but there's another part of this defining outside, what about social media? And I say this and I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, and I understand that. Last week I had a situation where a staff member went on social media and was blasting all another side of the aisle in my personal opinion, in an inappropriate way. Social media, First Amendment, I don't care. Kick rocks when somebody complains to me about it. But then are we now able to say, hey, you probably shouldn't insult, 50% of the people in the district and their parents? It was is this a slippery slope would be my question. Because if this gave us the ability to then outside is now social media, uh, you know, does somebody that's not as pragmatic or as we all are, and we put our opinions on the side, does this give them the ability to now police social media and police a little bit too much? And that's coming from me. I'd love to police it all.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. Let me share. Joe Kirkpatrick had made several posts that were very
Mhm.
demonstrated his, how do you put it, disdain for certain populations, which, to be frank, Latin Hispanic students, and some of his posts were such that I had heard feedback from others, and I love Joe. He was great to work with, and I think he would have been hurt to realize, for whatever reason, he didn't realize that he then had students of Latino background that didn't have trust in him, wouldn't go talk to him because the families and people saw what he was posting online.
Mhm.
Right.
And so I did have a conversation with him like, hey, Joe, I appreciate that that's your view and your perspective, but it is negatively impacting your ability to be a community police officer and work in this environment. When you make those comments online, they're not confident coming and talking to you that they're going to be, given a fair shake because you're given the impression that you hold this ill will, even though I don't think that was his intention.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting conversation. I had parents call me last week because there was a teacher that was there's nothing I could do about it. But would this give the ability for the district to say, hey, you might want to knock that off? And then is that too far? I'm torn on this quite a bit.
I think it's the way it's listed. It doesn't say you're going to be terminated. It just should refrain from expressions that would disrupt the harmony among coworkers, interfere with the. It has to be a pretty significant disruption for us to take a job action. But
Yeah.
I like this language because it lets us have conversations with people before it gets to that level.
Yeah. It's not saying
Okay,
not,
okay.
it's saying should refrain.
Yeah, which goes back to your point though, Kyle, that you don't like this.
Right.
In
Yeah.
this case, I might like it though, but
Yeah.
yeah, what do you think?
I just hate the words encourage and should,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than using shall and will, and
Mhm.
whether you want to put not with it.
From my HR perspective, I'm trying to think back. I think the whole reason why we crossed this was Tim's recommendation, just to kind of, because it is such a slippery slope. However, having this conversation, if we keep it, just allows us to have the discussion with the staff member, and it kind of reinforces the importance. I think to Jason's point, it would have to be so substantial and just very severe that we've moved to a job action, but at least having it noted in the
Mhm.
policy allows us to kind of have some supporting documents when we meet with the staff member to say,
Mhm.
here- not only is it, here's policy.
Well, like the teacher that we, hired and she's done wonderful this year, but I was able to have a conversation with her that, look, you're exercising your First Amendment rights on the weekend, you're out there, you're holding up the sign. Could you maybe have modified the sign so it didn't have the F word on it and say no ice instead, that, people are
Uh,
watching and looking at that, and she was reflective on that and said, oh yeah, I guess, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. And, so it still, do I have a legal right to consequence her for that? No. But did I fill two or three, I had a face-to-face conversation with one parent and, filled in a couple emails
Mhm.
and shared them with that teacher, which it always baffles me when, oh, I'm going to go complain to the superintendent, but don't let the teacher know. Baloney.
yeah, forget that crap.
Well, they're getting to know. I had one in there. Yeah. So anyways, and because I think that that's a good way for those teachers to also know that the concern's there.
Mhm.
And I think it helps them reflect on that too.
Oh, I can see someone really strong in their beliefs and saying, this is outside the school's activities.
Mhm.
And you are infringing upon my rights. And why are you talking to me when I have not exhibited that I represent school district in any form or manner? So,
Kyle, that was my concern. That's my concern.
Yep. Because and you're absolutely right, but it goes to, it's okay for you to do whatever you want outside of school up until it creates a disruption within the school environment. So when I first came on was the summer that Ellen Holly got arrested for singing up at the Capitol. And Ellen was absolutely within her rights. She got cited. She was issued a ticket at the time. And she told me, she said, well, that ticket's going to go away because they wrongfully charged us or wrongfully cited. We had every right to be there. And my conversation with her was, I absolutely get that, but we're receiving phone calls that they don't want you to serve as their counselor. We're having radio stations call for your firing and termination. Said, will you please just not do anything else that will create a disruption to where I can't use you in that role?
Mhm.
And she said, absolutely, I promise I'll do my best not to create another disruption
she
like
said that?
She did, yeah.
Okay.
She understood that because I'm like, I don't want to be in that position now where I can't use you or serve,
Mhm.
you can't do service in that role
Mhm.
because of that, behavior outside.
Mhm.
And it comes to that threshold, what level of disruption was it? And she was right, the ticket did get tossed out. She
Mhm.
technically hadn't done anything wrong. All she was singing in the rotunda,
Mhm.
and for whatever reason they arrested, thought they didn't have the permit at that time.
And a
but-
lot of this has to do with the temperature of the nation at the time.
Mhm.
Right now, this might be an issue. And 10 years from now, it might go, why are you even concerned with this?
Also true.
Yeah. They used to terminate people for being homosexuals based on that criteria of the disruption level in the classroom, that I can't use you. And that stood up in courts back in the
Hmm.
80s
Hmm.
on that timeline, and that's gone past that. The big case law related to some of this outside behavior and First Amendment was in my school law case. A principal and a superintendent went to a conference out of town and went to a strip club, and one of their teachers was working at the strip club. And they terminated the teacher for their behavior outside on their own hours, and the teacher sued, and the courts ruled in favor of the teacher.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Because it was on our own time and there had not been a disruption to the learning environment at that time. But had there been a disruption and parents not wanting her to teach the kids, then they can terminate.
Hmm.
All right. It is a fascinating, it's a gray area.
Yep.
So D, staff members shall not campaign on school property during duty hours on behalf of any political issue or candidate for local, state, or national office. I remember this coming up when we were trying to promote the
The
referendum. And we were in the homecoming parade.
Mm.
And there were staff members who participated in the homecoming
Gotcha.
parade in favor of the referendum. And there were a lot of people who got upset about that. So by leaving this the way it is, but it was outside of their duty hours.
And on school property.
No, we were lined up on school
Oh.
property for the start of the parade. The homecoming parade started at the high school. So,
Were
I'm,
they on duty or were they off duty?
they were off duty.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be during duty hours.
So initially I was like, oh, it should be period. Like
Right.
it shouldn't be, but I'm like, no, this actually came up, when we were trying to get a referendum passed, and so I'm okay with the language the way it is.
I wonder, is a referendum considered, and this is just an
It's
honest
a
question,
political-
is it considered a political
I
issue?
don't know.
Or is a political issue when there's parties involved? Because
Yeah,
they say,
good
like,
question.
is school board non-political or is that political?
It's, to me, it's non-political.
Same.
Did you want to change that from political to partisan? I don't know if that improves it at all.
On school property during duty hours on behalf of any political issue.
Partisan
Yeah.
political.
To me, that the referendum is not a political issue.
No.
It's partisan, but not political.
Oh, I don't think it's
Mm.
partisan.
Well, okay.
I mean,
Well, isn't partisan mean
I'm saying,
opposing views?
no, when I say partisan, I'm talking about the two parties.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so,
okay.
So if it was
Yeah,
during the
you're right.
homecoming parade,
It's-
this one wouldn't even apply, because it's during off-duty hours.
Mm.
Right.
But you're saying if,
What I'm saying is I'm okay with the
Well,
language the way it is,
so-
because
It says referendums, anything that is decided by a vote would be considered political. So that's the word. Partisan would be the parties.
yeah,
But
okay.
political is anything which
Okay.
makes, it
Okay.
must come from that word poll or
Mhm.
asking people to vote.
Okay,
So that would be anything political.
okay.
That's interesting. Didn't know
something new today.
that.
I just have to remember it, so when people ask, you can
Yeah,
tell them the definition.
right. So does anybody have anything else that they want to discuss on this one? Otherwise, we should probably wrap it up.
Tim
We have
was
some
okay
early
with
grad
this?
requests.
What?
We have some early grad requests.
Oh, yeah, correct.
I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, okay. All right. Oh my gosh, this one is just so long.
Which one are we on now?
So 3242 is where we'll pick up next time.